Hello, I am AARP Senior Vice President Bill Walsh, and I'd like to welcome you to this important conversation with national experts on how to recognize and avoid consumer fraud and scams. Our experts will be taking your questions live. Before we begin, if you'd like to hear this telephone town hall in Spanish, press *0 on your telephone keypad now.
Si usted desea escuchar en español, presione *0 en su teléfono ahora.
AARP, a non-profit, non-partisan membership organization, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 65 years. Through events like this, AARP continues to provide information and resources to help older adults and those caring for them. As spring blooms all around us, it appears consumer fraud is in full flower as well, and the scammers are more devious and persistent than ever. According to the Federal Trade Commission, incidents of theft through fraud have escalated dramatically over the past 5 years, with financial losses rising from $2.4 billion in 2019 to more than $10 billion last year. A new AARP report finds the majority of adults are worried about fraud and scams, with adults 50 and older particularly concerned. Today, we'll be talking to experts about how to protect yourself and your loved ones. We're joined by distinguished experts today, including a Deputy Assistant Director from the FBI, an AARP fraud expert, and the Senior Vice President from the News Literacy Project, which helps consumers spot misinformation. Together, they'll provide critical insights on the methods that scammers use and provide tips on recognizing and avoiding these threats. If you've participated in one of our Tele-town Halls in the past, you know this is similar to a radio talk show, and you have the opportunity to ask your questions live. For those of you joining us on the phone, if you'd like to ask a question, press *3 on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member who will note your name and question and place you in a queue to ask that question live. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, you can post your question in the comments section. Hello, if you're just joining, I'm Bill Walsh with AARP, and I want to welcome you to this important discussion about recognizing and avoiding scams and fraud with the foremost experts from the FBI, AARP, and the News Literacy Project. This event is being recorded, and you can access the recording at aarp.org/conversations 24 hours after we wrap up. Again, to ask your question, please press *3 at any time on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member, or if you're joining on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and drop your question into the comments section. Now I'd like to welcome our special guest today, Section Chief James C. Barnacle of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He serves as Deputy Assistant Director in the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division. In that role, he oversees operations, policies, initiatives, and guidance of the FBI's financial crimes, public corruption, and civil rights programs. Welcome, Section Chief Barnacle, to the program.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for inviting me to the program. I'm happy to be part of this conversation.
All right. We're delighted to have you. I'd also like to introduce Kathy Stokes. Kathy is the Director of Fraud Prevention at AARP. She leads AARP's efforts to educate older adults on the risks that fraud represents to their financial security. Welcome, Kathy.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
All right. And finally, Mike Webb. Mike is the Senior Vice President of Communications at the News Literacy Project. He leads the efforts to raise awareness of the dangers of misinformation to people across the nation. Welcome to the program, Mike.
Thank you very much. Really glad to be here.
All right. Well, this is a great panel on a really important subject, so thank you all for being here. And a reminder to our listeners to ask your question. Press *3 at any time on your telephone keypad or drop it into the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. All right, well, let's get right to it. The FBI has called financial crimes against Americans ages 60 and older a serious and growing threat. The April AARP Bulletin cover headline reads, "Americans are under siege from scammers." That's jarring language. How bad is it? And what has changed that is causing these alarming warnings from two trusted organizations? James, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. In 2023, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center received over 880,000 complaints from victims of fraud schemes, an estimated reported losses of $12.5 billion. That represented a year-over-year increase of 22% in losses suffered by Americans, mostly by Americans. Fraud itself is a serious and growing threat. Technology is connecting people for many good things, but it is also connecting bad guys to our victims and to our population. The rise of faster payments, the increase of use of social media, dating sites, and the internet have connected adversaries and victims like never before, and we're seeing significant increases in losses.
All right. Well, thanks so much for that. Kathy, do you want to weigh in on that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have seen a meteoric growth in fraud, especially if you look before the pandemic and then after the pandemic. If you just look at data from the Federal Trade Commission, it's up over 300%. And that shows us that we all went online to do everything, and the criminals followed us. And they've been increasingly adept at technology and scaling their attacks, to the point now, I mean, we just did a survey, and we're estimating 42% of U.S. adults have experienced fraud, whether it's a money loss or it's sensitive information. That's 141 million people.
Wow. We're going to come right back to that in a moment. James, I wanted to ask you about an FBI report that just came out. It's a 21-page report last week. It outlines a sharp rise in the money stolen via increasingly sophisticated tactics. What are the most important findings from that report?
Yeah, I think the most important things are the increase, just as you mentioned, Bill, the increase in complaints. We had over 101,000 victims over the age of 60 reported losses to IC3.gov. The reported losses were over $3.4 billion. Where we saw the most significant increase, and this is the thing I would emphasize the most, was in cryptocurrency-related schemes where people are being pitched something related to crypto, they're making payments related to crypto, or they're having their crypto stolen. We saw in total losses reported to IC3, $5.6 billion related to cryptocurrency. And for folks 60 and over, the losses were lower, but still very, very significant, and a little bit over $1.1 billion. So just a crazy number of losses. And the other thing that we're seeing a significant increase in is tech support schemes. So everyone's been on the internet, you're on your computer, and you have that pop-up comes up on your screen. Unfortunately, a lot of people are clicking on that pop-up because it teases you that there's this urgent message, and you have to take some kind of step, and the red lights are flashing on your computer, and so people will click on that, and that will open the door for potential tech support fraud schemes. And we're seeing significant numbers of schemes related to that.
It's so devious. I mean, it's a scam posing as a fraud prevention effort. Kathy, let me turn to you. Scammers make it hard on us because they're so devious and sophisticated these days. What can we do to make it harder on scammers?
I love that turn of phrase, making it hard on the scammers. And we can make it harder by keeping our devices updated. When you get that prompt on your phone that there's new software, don't just ignore it or do it later. Do it now. Better yet, set it up to happen automatically, because sometimes that's all about patching up a known vulnerability. Strong and unique passwords is something that we all have trouble with because it's hard to keep up with them. But we really do need to use strong and unique passwords on every account, because if we use the same or similar ones, the criminals are going to break into one and then they're going to figure all the other ones out. And they can use your social media accounts. They can use your email to deceive your friends and family into giving them money or sensitive information. They can take hold of your financial accounts and wipe you out. The other thing is that we just can't we can't really trust communications incoming right now. We have to be very wary. Phone is still a big vector, so use the answering machine or the voicemail to screen out the calls unless you're absolutely sure you know who's calling. If you get a text from a company you do business with, like your bank, don't click on that link. Rather, communicate with them in a way you know to be legitimate.
Great information. Thank you, Kathy. James, let me turn back to you. Let's talk about how we can hold criminals accountable. How can the FBI do it? What does it do? Especially with so many scams that originate overseas. Do we have the right laws in place to stop fraud as it's evolving today?
A challenging question and a challenging situation. We have so many people that are being targeted domestically, internationally, that it requires the FBI to do a lot of things. And one is the engagement with folks and talking to the public, alerting them to the different fraud schemes, something we're doing today with you, and we appreciate the AARP giving us the opportunity to do this. As far as investigations go, we work cases domestically and internationally. We have a legal attaché system where we have FBI agents across the globe, and we're working with friendly countries and not as friendly countries to get justice for Americans that are being targeted by fraudsters. We also work in task force environments where we get together with local and state law enforcement agencies along with other federal law enforcement agencies, as well as the FBI, and we work cases jointly to mitigate the fraud schemes in certain parts of the country. And then we work with regulatory agencies here in the United States to share trends and typologies, the types of fraud schemes we're seeing. We want to share that with the banks, with financial institutions, with crypto exchanges, so that they, in part of their know their customer, their KYC obligations that they have, they look to help the customers to mitigate the fraud schemes. And finally, we work with international consortiums on elder justice and fraud initiatives so that we can partner with countries to work these cases together. I mentioned our attachés, but we also do that separately on individual investigations, especially in the Five Eyes and Western European environment. The Five Eyes being Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and the United Kingdom, and the United States. We work with a lot of Western European law enforcement agencies, as well as Ghana and India, the Central Bureau of Investigation. We work with them to work cases jointly that are affecting both of our citizens, and we look to put people in handcuffs, bring them back to the United States where they can face justice in our court system. But it is a tremendous challenge, and we cannot arrest our way out of this problem. So we need everyone to do their due diligence and avoid being a victim of fraud to begin with, and that'll help mitigate this crime problem.
Point, and we're going to get to some of that actionable advice in just a moment. Just a reminder to our listeners, if you'd like to ask your question live on the air, press *3 on your telephone keypad now, or drop it into the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. Let's get to some of that actionable advice. And if you or a loved one's been deceived by a scammer, what's the first step? What do you do? James, what does the FBI say?
Well, the first thing we tell people is to call your local police department. If it's an emergency, dial 911. If it's a non-emergency, call the non-emergency phone number at the police department. Many state and local jurisdictions have elder fraud hotlines. The Department of Justice also has an elder fraud hotline, so folks can call that number at 833-372-8311. And then we would ask that victims report to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. That can be found at ic3.gov. And we ask people, after they're safe and they're away from harm, that they report that that victimization, that crime, to ic3.gov, which really, really helps us. And then finally, and we'll talk about this, do your due diligence. Many people don't know they're a victim of fraud, but if you figure out you are a victim, you need to alert authorities right away. This is very difficult for people to do.
Right. Okay, thanks very much for that. Kathy, do you want to add some tips?
Yeah, first and foremost, just like James said, this is a crime. And understand the victim is a crime victim. And very likely they were intentionally targeted. So we need to have empathy and compassion when we approach the person who has experienced it, help them file that police report. Not only is it getting it on record, but what happens down the road if there is some means of restitution? You'd want that police report to be able to be a part of that. Contact the bank if there was if you determine it was a scam immediately after and your bank account was involved. Get in touch with the bank right away. See what they can do to help you. If it was through a gift card purchase where somebody convinced you that the best way to address a financial situation is with a gift card, share the numbers off the back, flip that card over, call that number, and see if there's still money on that account, and they will freeze it for you.
That's some good advice. I just want to repeat some of the resources that James from the FBI mentioned. That elder fraud hotline number was 833-372-8311, or you can go online to ic3.gov. All right, well, it's now time to address some of your questions with FBI Deputy Assistant Director James Barnacle and AARP Fraud Director Kathy Stokes. As a reminder, press star 3 at any time on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member to share your question on the air. And if you'd like to listen in Spanish, press star 0 on your telephone keypad now.
Si usted desea escuchar en español, presione asterisco y 0 en su teléfono ahora.
Okay, I'd like to now bring in my AARP colleague, Kevin Craigla, who will facilitate your calls today. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for having me on this important conversation today.
All right.
Our first call.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead. Our first call comes from Patricia in New York.
Hey, Patricia, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question.
Good morning, everyone. My question is regarding the moderator who indicated that when we receive new updates on our system, that we should upload them. My concern is how do I decipher if that's really a scam or not?
Oh, Kathy, do you want to take that one? I think you had mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, you will get a prompt on your device. It's not like it comes from an email or a text message. It actually comes from the software itself. So you can be certain that that is actually doing what it needs to do to update your device.
And so that would come from Apple or Android or Google, whatever your device is, saying it's time to update your software. And in that update, there'll be a patch to protect you from the latest fraud.
That's quite often what it's doing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take another question, Kevin.
Absolutely. Our next call comes from Jerry in Nevada.
Hey, Jerry, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question. Hey, Jerry, you with us? All right, well, let's go to another caller.
Absolutely. Let's take a call from Paul from New York.
Hey, Paul, welcome. What's your question today?
I want to know what we do, how we report calls, because I've called the Attorney General for calls that I thought were scams, and they wanted the address. How the hell do I know the address on the telephone? So what else can I do? Because I get a lot of these things, and I don't answer. I answer almost every call. So I want to know also if they can use my phone to scam somebody else if I answer the phone.
Yep. Paul, let's ask the FBI about that. James, do you have some answers for Paul?
Yeah, so that's a tough question, Paul, and it's tough for a couple reasons. One, a lot of us answer the phone frequently. I've shifted myself as I'm in my 50s now, getting a little older. I don't answer phones generally unless it's a number that I know is calling, and I know that makes it difficult when you're expecting phone calls and you don't necessarily know who it is calling. But we encourage people to use their caller IDs. If you are hit with scam calls, and there's all kinds of robocalls and all kinds of different scam calls that are coming to people. one of the things you can report to is the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov. That agency is the lead agency on mitigating scam calls. So they can do civil cases and they can do criminal cases against the robocall agencies. So I would do that. Secondly, if you are contacted on the phone, a cold call, chances are it's fraudulent. And so really do your due diligence before you engage in every conversation with someone on the phone. And if they're going to throw a sense of urgency into that conversation, you need to do something now or else there'll be these consequences. Your phone will be turned off, your electricity will be turned off, your internet will be turned off. Don't take the bait on that. That's a fraud trap. That's an automatic red flag when there's a sense of urgency in the phone call.
Yeah, I would also like to say, Paul, that when you answer these calls and they're scammers, the longer you're on the phone with them, the hotter your number becomes, and it gets bought and sold over and again on the dark web among these criminals. So it really is important to only pick up when you're sure who's calling. Let that answering machine or that voicemail system do the work for you. If it's someone you need to talk to, they will leave a message.
I wonder about these do not call registries. How effective are they?
They're really effective against telemarketing companies who are legitimate. So go to donotcall.gov and put your numbers on there. And they used to expire, but they don't expire anymore. You can put as many numbers on there as you want. I put my mom's number on it without even mentioning it to her. So it keeps you safe from the traditional marketing calls, but it doesn't keep you safe from the scammers, because they're not going to look at the do not call list. However, it means fewer calls coming in, so it's more likely the call coming in that you don't know is probably a scam.
All right. Kevin, let's go back to the lines. Who do we have up next?
Absolutely. Our next caller is Donald from Florida.
Hey, welcome to the program. Go ahead with your call.
Okay, I just got a scam, I'm pretty sure. It says, thank you for your purchase for a Norton 360 Deluxe 3-device annual plan, $349.99. Your payment was successful. It may take up to 48 hours for this amount to reflect in your bank statement. And I have 3 banks, so how do I know even if it were true which bank? They don't say. Your subscription will expire after 1 year of purchase. I answered the phone because I don't have call identification on my phone. What do I do?
Yeah, that's a great question, Donald. James Barnacle from the FBI, what do you suggest?
It's 100% scam, Donald. Your intuition was correct. People will get these contacts like that from a cold call. They'll get them from email, and they'll get them from a text message. Norton is kind of the hot one right now, but we see it go through different things. We also, people will get it looks like a receipt for an invoice for it can be a lawnmower, it can be anything. And they're looking for you to click on that link, or they're looking for ultimately for you to verify information. They don't have your information, but they're going to try to con you into giving your personally identifiable information, your name, your address, your social security number, your date of birth, and or bank account information or credit card information. So, Donald, as your suspicion rose to the right level, don't share any of that information with these scammers.
Okay.
Kathy?
Go ahead. Did you want to finish that thought? All right. Well, thank you. Thanks to our listeners for all those questions. We're going to take more of those questions shortly. Right now, I'd like to take a minute and share a quick advocacy update in a segment we call Fighting for You. Joining us today is AARP volunteer Joe Marquardt. Welcome to the program, Joe.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
All right. Joe, you've volunteered with AARP for 10 years now. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. I worked in healthcare human resources administration for 41 years. And when I retired, I did what many of us do and became a volunteer. I have served as state president of AARP in Arizona, and I've worked with the Fraud Watch program. In fact, on behalf of AARP, I provided testimony before the United States Senate Judiciary Committee's hearing on financial exploitation of elderly Americans to fight for stronger protections.
Well, that's wonderful, Joe. Can you share some of the other issues that AARP is fighting on right now?
Of course. One of AARP's biggest priorities is fighting for prescription drug reform and strengthening Medicare. Americans pay more for the same prescription drugs than any other country on earth, which is unacceptable. But there is good news. After decades of calling on Congress, Medicare can now negotiate for lower prices on some prescription drugs, and insulin copays are capped at $35 a month. These are big victories for older Americans, and we need to keep going.
Okay, they are indeed big victories. What other news should we be keeping an eye on?
Two other priorities are fighting for Social Security and supporting family caregivers. Social Security is vital to our financial futures and should not be used as a bargaining chip. Congress needs to remember these are benefits we earned and paid into. It's our money, not theirs. AARP is also fighting for family caregivers who work so hard to care for loved ones and deserve a break from elected officials. AARP is fighting for common sense solutions that will save all family caregivers time and money and provide them with more support.
Joe, thanks so much for being here today. Any final thoughts?
Absolutely. I invite everyone listening to join the fight. Become an advocate from your own home or become a volunteer. You can call your AARP state office or go online to aarp.org/get involved and sign up for our free advocacy newsletter to stay informed.
Okay, that's aarp.org/get involved. Joe, thanks so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. Now let's get back to our conversation with FBI Deputy Assistant Director James Barnacle and AARP Fraud Director Kathy Stokes. And remember, if you'd like to ask a question to our experts, press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time. James, you have a long history as an FBI investigator. What guidance do you share with your own family and friends? Are there any telltale signs of scams that you want to share with us?
In the respect of time, I will share a handful of things, but I could go on for an hour.
I imagine.
Unfortunately, people listen to me all day long. So if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. For investments, you have to do your due diligence and independently verify the information that was presented to you. Avoid clicking on links, downloading files, or opening attachments from someone you only met online. If you're meeting people online and social media, avoid moving the conversation from a reputable dating site or that website where you first met them to direct engagement, direct servicing, direct messaging, because there's some safety features in those social media sites, and you're going to lose that protection. Do not provide sensitive information to someone you only met online. Regularly monitor your personal financial accounts for irregularities, such as recurring charges to unknown businesses. Do not reply to calls, emails, text messages that request your personal information, such as your password, your PIN, or any one-time password sent to your email or phone. If someone is claiming to be a company representative contacts you and asks you to provide personal information or to verify your account by providing a code, initiate a new call to that company by dialing the verified customer service number and line of that company. Look it up yourself on the internet or in a phone book and call the known number. Don't call the new number that the person gave to you on the phone or through a message. More internet safety. Do not click on unsolicited pop-ups on your computer, links sent via text message, or email links and attachments. Do not contact unknown telephone numbers provided in pop-ups, text, or email. And if an unknown individual contacts you online or through the telephone, do not release financial or personally identifiable information and never send them money. And if they want to come to your house to pick up money or they ask you to go get gold bars and they're going to send a courier service or their friend, I guarantee it's a fraud because no legitimate company will do that.
All right. That's quite a list. And Kathy, I imagine you have some on your own list.
Yeah, I do, Bill. And I mean, that list is exhausting and it doesn't even begin to cover all the things we want people to know about. So, what we've been doing at AARP is some research to try to bring it up. What can we say? What are 3 things that maybe 80-85% of all scams start with? And we think we're onto something here. It's kind of a signature. In most of these cases, it's a communication from out of the blue. It puts you into some heightened emotional state. Oh my God, that's not I didn't spend that money, or my grandson's in trouble. What am I going to do? You get into that heightened emotional state, and then there's urgency. If we see these 3 things coming together and coming at us, disengage.
Yeah.
And we're trying to figure out how we can do some sort of like a big campaign maybe next year. AARP, other organizations, just to try to help people understand, look, in 80% of the cases, we think these 3 things are what makes you want to disengage.
Well, and those tactics are so effective. People panic. They want to respond right away. And if it's an emotional plea, so many folks want to engage, right?
Well, yeah,
and solve the problem.
I think people have a hard time understanding why scams are so successful. From the outside, you're like, what? Why? But it's because they have a playbook, and that playbook is to get you into that heightened emotional state. And when you're there, it's really hard to break out of that and access logic.
Yeah.
So they know it, and it works, and that's why they do it.
Kathy, today we're discussing scams that are targeting older adults, and there's a perception that older adults are more susceptible to scams and fraud. Is that actually true?
They're not necessarily more or less susceptible than anybody else. It's just that when that older adult is the target, there's so much more damage that can happen because they tend to have assets that younger people don't. Even if it's just the Social Security check, but maybe it's a pension, maybe it's 401k savings, maybe if it's life insurance if you're widowed, maybe it's housing wealth. The criminals know how deep that goes. And when they get a hold of somebody who's older, they don't stop until they try to get everything.
Right. Deputy Assistant Director Barnacle, you had referenced this a little bit earlier when you were talking about fraud prevention. What is the role of businesses and financial institutions in preventing or stopping scams? And are there more things they can be doing?
The primary role is to know their customer, right? Know your customer. Banks are obligated. Financial institutions are obligated by the Bank Secrecy Act and FinCEN rules and regulations to know their customer. And oftentimes we see a failure at the financial institution level. Victims are conned in a routine scam. We go to the financial institution, we interview people at the bank, and they're like, oh, yeah, we told the customer that was a scam. But did the banks take the time to call the police? Did the banks take the time to call the FBI? Or do the banks just simply let their customer walk away with their life savings? So we'd ask financial institutions, we ask other businesses to know their customer and advocate for their customer and step in and help their customer mitigate these different fraud problems.
It seems like it would be good business, right? I mean, if you're helping your customer prevent them from being scammed, you've got a customer for life.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you both for that. We're going to turn to more listener questions in just a moment. Before we do, I wanted to invite our listeners to attend our webinar, How to Spot and Stop a Scam. It's airing tonight, Thursday, May 9th, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. also Pacific Time. This session will provide valuable insights into the 2024 fraud landscape, highlighting emerging scams such as check theft and celebrity imposters. To register for this important conversation, learn more about safeguarding yourself and your loved ones from scams. Visit learn.aarp.org. That's learn, learn.aarp.org. That is a free event tonight. Check it out. It is now time to address more of your questions with FBI Deputy Assistant Director James Barnacle and AARP Fraud Director Kathy Stokes. Please press star 3 at any time on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member and get into the queue to ask your question live. Kevin, who do we have next on the line?
Bill, our next question comes from Mary Ellen in Indiana.
Mary Ellen, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for having these informative town hall meetings. I've learned a lot. My question is, recently my email address was hacked by a scammer. They went in and actually changed my email address. It was very similar to what I had, but it had a different extension at the end. They changed it to an Outlook extension.com. And I've tried calling my internet service provider. I've called the police. I'm no longer getting any of my email. I can't change it back because, obviously I don't know what the new password is. What can I do other than create a new email address?
Mary Ellen, thanks so much for that question. James, do you have any suggestions for her?
Yeah, that's a tough predicament. So going forward, I would encourage everyone that has an email to create a separate email for a recovery address so that if you're in this situation where your email account is compromised, you can go into the server. So if it's hotmail.com or Yahoo or Google, you can go in and reset your password through your recovery email address, which would be a second email address that you create. I would also encourage people to create multiple email addresses with multiple services to deal with certain people. So, for instance, if you go into a grocery store or CVS, a pharmacy, and you share your email for their rewards program, use one email for all your rewards programs. Have a separate email for your friends and family. That will help you separate from fraud. Unfortunately, I don't have any tips on how to recover that email address.
I mean, it sounds like you went to the service provider and didn't have any luck there, but I'm really glad that you brought that up, because in instances where your email is hacked into, and yours sounds much more complex, but I'm at Kathy at AARP.org and someone takes over my account, my first order of business is to go in and change my password. So anytime you have this happen to you, go in immediately and change the password. And that stands for social media as well.
Okay. Let's take another question. Kevin.
Our next caller is Diane from Georgia.
Hey, Diane. Welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. My question is, what else can I do? I've got my credit frozen. I use a VPN when I go online. I've got my credit card set up so that they send me a text anytime there's a charge made against any of them. I never call. If I get a notice, an email from one of my credit cards, I never call. I never click on that. I go and call them. I either log on from their app, or I log on from a web browser. I keep I track my passwords in a
password protection software. Yeah.
Yeah, and I run.
Yeah.
I've got virus software on my phone as well as my laptop.
Diane, it sounds like you're doing so many of the right things. Kathy, do you want to maybe give our listeners a sense of what are the key things everyone really should be doing to protect
Diane,
themselves?
You're like the poster child for what to do to protect yourself from fraud, and thank you for sharing that. It is a lot, and you're on top of it. So what I would recommend, Diane, is you reach out to the AARP Georgia State Office and become a fraud fighter volunteer, and you can tell people from your own experience how you've done this to protect yourself.
That's great advice. Kevin, let's take another caller.
Absolutely. Our next caller is Julie from California.
Hey, Julie, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question. Julie, you with us? All right. Sounds like we need to go to a different line.
Absolutely. Let's go to Charles in Texas.
Hey, Charles, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Do you have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate your advice. I have owned property, and I receive 4 or 5 letters every week for people wanting to buy my property, but I've been told that a crook can come into the tax office, get all the information about my property, make up a fraud device or a document, and get it signed, and sell my property without me even knowing anything about it. And what I've done is have my son made him a co-owner of all my property. But it's an undivided interest in my property, but he's a co-owner. Will that prevent anyone from taking my property and selling it without my knowledge?
Yeah. Well, let's ask the FBI about that. James, do you have any advice for Charles?
So, Charles, a great mitigation step you took by adding your son. I'll tell you what, look, the laws and the way we transfer property and the way deeds are recorded were created 100 plus years ago. And unfortunately, the tactics and trends of bad guys are quite advanced. So, yes, there is title theft. We do see it. We don't see a lot of it, but it does occur. I would encourage people to talk to their attorneys if they can afford one. A trust is a good way to protect property, but I think adding a family member is going to make it a lot harder for a bad guy to steal that property.
Okay, very good. Thank you for all those questions. We're going to take some more listener questions in a moment. But let me return to our experts for a few questions. Kathy, you were talking about this earlier, that a key part of the fraud deception is to make the scam seem very personal. It seems that if they have some personal details about us, we're more likely to think they're authentic. How do scammers know so much about us, and how do they exploit that information to deceive us?
Yeah, Bill, well, they've created quite the ecosystem. Sometimes experts will call this fraud as a service. So I might be a criminal, and I'm really good at making phone calls and getting people to share information, personally identifiable information. And then I create a list, and I can sell that to the next criminal who wants to use that list to target the person in a specific phishing attack, for example. There are so many ways, unfortunately, that criminals have access to our information. Data breaches continue to be a massive problem. Our social media accounts, we really need to make sure that we're looking at our protections on every social media account. If you don't know that you have protections, you do, and you need to turn them on so that somebody that is not a friend or family member in your circle isn't able to see specific information. For example, your grandkids' names. We see very sadly something called the grandparent scam that happens, and it's hugely successful, unfortunately. And again, it relies on putting somebody into a heightened emotional state. They may get the name from social media, and you get a call at 3:00 in the morning, and it's your grandson, and he's like, "Mikey, it's Mikey. I'm in so much trouble. Please don't tell mom and dad. I had a DUI, and I hit somebody, and they were pregnant, and I think she's going to die. And I need you to talk to the lawyer and help me. Please don't tell anybody." And you're thinking as the grandparent, "Oh my God, it's Mikey, and it's me that's between him and going to jail. So you'll do anything." Right. And this has been working for decades, but now it's going to even work better because there are these generative artificial intelligence tools where somebody can clone Mikey's voice, and it really is sounding like it's Mike. So
we're going to get to AI in just a moment. We've also heard about financial grooming scams. What's that all about?
yeah, I mean, it's sort of a cross between an investment scam and a romance scam, but it's coming at people differently. It could be an errant text. You think you're getting a text message by mistake that's like, Dr. Smith, Fluffy is really sick. Can I bring her over now? And you read it and you're like, oh, Fluffy, I want to make sure Fluffy's okay. So I tell this person, I'm sorry, I'm not your doctor. I hope everything goes well. The person says, oh, thank you very much. Oh, you must be an animal lover, which begins an ongoing discussion, which begins a friendship, which begins a trust relationship. And this can happen over months. And then that criminal on the other end, who's now one of your best friends, tells you, hey, look, I've told you how well I'm living. I've got the houses, I've got the cars. And it's because I'm investing in cryptocurrency and I can teach you how to do it as well. And that begins a cryptocurrency investment scheme where someone is actually on an exchange, they think, and they're watching all these great returns and they're ready to, take their returns out. And then they get a notification, well, you have to pay your taxes first. And it's 30%. So what do? Still believing it. They, take the money out of the kids' college accounts to pay for it. So the losses are just unbelievable.
Wow, and it's amazing to think about how these scammers are really, as we say, grooming people over time and setting them up for the scam. Deputy Assistant Director Barnacle, there have been reports of threats and intimidation also by scammers. What's going on there, and what should people do if they feel threatened or intimidated?
Exactly the scenario Kathy just gave, where someone is grooming that innocent text message where you start communicating with the bad guy on the other end. We see examples where people cut that communication off and then immediately get threats and are asked for information. We also see in the scenario Kathy played out where folks invest money into cryptocurrency and then they're hit and asked for taxes to be paid, or they're made threats. Those threats are communicated to them. So, example, a colleague of mine sits right next to me down in the FBI office here in Washington, D.C. He received an innocent text message exactly like Kathy described. He responded back to that text message, hey, how you doing? And went back and forth for like 2 days. He thought it was amusing. He kept showing me the text messages and was having a good time. And then finally he's like, all right, I'm sick of this. And he cut off communication and said, hey, I know you're a scammer. Stop communicating. He immediately got graphic text messages. He got emails threatening violence. They said, hey, we know you live in this town, where the area code for his phone number came back to. We know you live in this town. We have people in this town, and we're going to come and get you. And then the graphic videos on top of that. Now, look, he's an FBI agent. He knew it was a fraud scheme. But I can see how someone, our family, our friends, our parents could sit at home and think the person on the other end of the phone now has our information and they can come for us. I can rest assured in that situation that person's overseas. They're not coming to get you. But it's something you should be concerned about. If you're concerned about the threat of violence, call 911. Call emergency services. Call your local police right away. And they are trained in responding to these and can help talk you through this situation.
Wow, frightening. Kathy, you were talking a little bit about this before. One of the easiest things to do is to blame the victim, and we hear it all the time. I can't believe you fell for that. Why is it so beneficial to the scammers, and how do we need to reframe our thinking about scams? What can be done to encourage victims to come forward and tell others what happened to them?
Well, fortunately, Bill, I think this is starting to change. Even just over the last 3 or 4 years, I think we've moved away generally from just believing that person was gullible or not tech savvy, or there was an attribution bias, something about that person that caused it. And when we do that, we really just deprioritize it. When I joined this effort maybe 5 years ago, I remember like a year and going, wait a minute, fraud is a crime? I mean, that was new to me. So imagine I was immersed for a year and only was learning that. So we've deprioritized it, and it makes us feel better thinking, well, it's only going to happen to them because of what they did or didn't do. But now that the frauds have become so difficult to discern, so many of us are experiencing the direct attacks ourselves, we're beginning to understand that. And I think we begin to take a whole of society approach to responding to this scourge.
Yeah. Thanks so much for that. Now I'd like to bring into the conversation the Vice President of Communications at the News Literacy Project, Mike Webb. The News Literacy Project is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping people spot misinformation. Welcome, Mike. We're coming to a big election season, of course, and manipulating a candidate's statements or record or their image is a pretty common political practice, especially with political ads. But new tools such as generative artificial intelligence, or AI, is making it harder to figure out fact from fiction. Are there any ways to tell if a message that you see is an ad that's been AI generated?
Well, hi, Bill. Thank you and AARP so much for having me on. It is very difficult to tell if something is AI generated. There are a few giveaways in the fact that if you look closely, they have not, those kind of images have not gotten very good at replicating hands. Often you'll see graininess on the side or the distortion within the photo. So there are some things to look for that give it away, but it is very difficult to tell. What we really try and tell people to do is check your emotions. If you see something that really makes you laugh or it makes you angry, stop for a second, check your emotions, and just generally be suspicious of images like that. Then you can open a tab and you can do a search to see if somebody else has reported on it, or you can visit a fact-checking site like PolitiFact, Snopes, Reuters, factcheck.org to see what they say about it. But in an election season, it's very, very healthy to have a strong sense of skepticism.
What are we experiencing there? Is that misinformation or disinformation? And what's the difference?
Well, misinformation is false or misleading information that is created or shared regardless of the intent to deceive. And then disinformation is false or misleading content that is knowingly and intentionally created to deceive. So disinformation deliberately deceives you into believing something that is not true. Now, I would have guessed that all of us have experienced some form of disinformation because I've been doing this work for several years now, and I saw a post about the Pittsburgh Steelers coach, Mike Tomlin. It was very complimentary, but it had parts of it that were made up, and there were enough clues that I should have known it was being made up, but even I fell for it. So it's something people shouldn't feel bad about.
In the political context, beyond influencing your vote, how else might political misinformation or disinformation try to deceive you? And for what purposes? And what, you were just talking about how you were misled, and you're an expert. What can people do?
Well, there's really a lot of different ways that it can be harmful. You can see a post that says Election Day is postponed because of the weather, but that's rarely, if ever, true. Or you might see a phone call. You might get a phone call, like a robocall from a candidate telling you not to vote in an open primary, but that voice was actually AI generated, so it's not true. So it's very important to be to try and verify information from another source. So again, we advise doing the lateral reading where you open up a tab. But the best thing I can do is offer advice to call a local board of elections. If you see something that is questionable about how to vote or when to vote, call the Board of Elections, and they can give you all the facts and details on if there's been any updates or changes to voting or mail-in ballots or anything like that.
Okay, very good. And finally, what's being done to stop these bad actors? Are they committing a crime when they're manipulating political images or audio?
It's a really big problem, And unfortunately, the social media platforms seem very reluctant this election cycle to take a role in labeling content that they know is false. So you can't really rely on them. There is some good news in that the FCC has ruled that phone calls that are using AI-generated voices are illegal. But overall, there are few federal protections because of the First Amendment protections for free speech. Some states have tried to consider legislation, but those laws have to be narrowly drawn so that they don't infringe on free speech. So, again, offering the best advice we can offer is to develop some news literacy skills like reverse image search or lateral reading to help you protect yourself.
Well, you had mentioned at the outset some sites that folks can go to check things out. I believe you mentioned politifact.com. You also mentioned Snopes, SNOPES.com. And your own site, the News Literacy Project, I know does a really nice job at separating fact from fiction, and that's newslit.org. Any other resources that you'd mention to our listeners?
Yeah, I was going to suggest we have another site called RumorGuard, and RumorGuard sort of debunks a lot of the information that's out there. It uses 5 factors to show how we debunked it, and it's 5 factors that you can consider. And those factors, we use the acronym CARES. It's context, authenticity, reasoning, evidence, and source. Has the context of the original source of information been changed? Can you tell if it's authentic or something that was created? Reasoning is just using really your common sense. Evidence, is there anything that actually supports it? And then source, what's the source of the information? Is it from a trustworthy news site, or is it from some Joe Blow on the street? So those are some of the resources that we offer.
Great, and I believe that's a free resource at rumorguard.org. Thanks so much for that. It's now time to address more of our listener questions with FBI Deputy Assistant Director James Barnacle, AARP's fraud expert Kathy Stokes, and Mike Webb of the News Literacy Project. Press star 3 on your phone at any time to be connected with an AARP staff member and share your questions. Kevin, who do we have on the line now?
Bill, Roger from Nevada is our next caller.
Hey, Roger, go ahead with your question. Hey, Roger, go ahead.
Looks like we lost Roger Bill. We lost Roger Bill, so we're going to go to Linda from Iowa.
Hey, Linda, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. Wow, I've been listening to the whole hour, and thank you for doing this. It's wonderful. It's funny because this morning I get this invoice that I owe $600, and it's from PayPal. And I really got nervous because what it says is your order has been placed in the purchase receipt. The amount of $576 have been charged and will be debited from your account. And so that got me. So I did call the number. It's just for assistance, and I got somebody from another country. I know that. And I knew it was a scam, but I kind of just wanted to report it because he asked my name, and I didn't want to give that.
Right.
Well, I'm technical support for PayPal, and if I don't get that, I've sent you an email, so I know your name, but tell me, and that's as far as I went, but I did tell him my name, okay? I shouldn't have done that. But he asked all kinds of silly questions like, have you been in Indiana lately, or do you have anybody else that uses PayPal other than you? No, I don't. But I had to give him the number, and I did, the J and 20 digits of letters and numbers. And then I got a thank you for your order, and it's kind of like, okay, they took the next step and think I really ordered Bitcoins.
Linda, let's ask our FBI expert about that. I think I've gotten that very scam myself. James, what do you suggest people do if they get a call like that? How do they know if it's real or fake? Any ways to follow up?
Obviously, Linda, you're right. You identified a fraud. It's a fraud. Do not further engage with these folks. Just ignore their phone calls. When you get emails like that, those are just sent out to their spam. They're sent to hundreds of millions of people, and it's just not a numbers game for bad guys. They want someone to click on it, and they want someone to call, and they want someone to provide their credit card number or personally identifiable information. Now, Linda, because you talked to them, even though you didn't provide any information, as Kathy talked a little bit earlier about the grooming and about lists on the darknet, you're going to be on a list because now they just confirmed your name and a phone number. And so the next call you get is going to be a little bit better than this one because now they're going to call Linda at your phone number. And they may not have a lot of information about you, but they have more than they did before. Because before when they called, they just had a phone number. They didn't know your name. But now they have your name. So, folks, just when you get those calls down the road, each call is going to be more sophisticated. They're going to be a little bit better at their craft. And remember, they're trying to get information from you. If you don't share information and you don't confirm or deny the information that they're giving, they can't build a profile on you. They don't know who you are. You're just a random phone number to them.
Yeah, great advice. Kevin, let's take one more call.
Absolutely. Joanne from Massachusetts.
Hey, Joanne. Welcome to the program. Go ahead with your question. Joanne, are you with us? All right. Who else do we have, Kevin?
Absolutely. Let's go to Jack from New York.
Hey, Jack. Go ahead with your question. What's your question?
Yes. My bank account has been hit 3 times over 3 months for a small amount of money. I closed the account and opened another one, and they got that account too from the same bank. How do I stop this from happening? Now, the amount of money is only $47, and it was reported by the bank coming from a Mexican drugstore. Now, 47 is not a lot of money. Next time it could be 547.
Sure.
How do I stop this from happening?
Yeah,
I've already closed the account. I do not use my ATM card anymore.
Jack, let's ask Kathy Stokes. Kathy, what advice do you have for Jack?
Yeah, well, Jack, first of all, those are unauthorized transactions, so I'm hoping that the bank made you whole for those losses. I don't think I would trust your bank anymore, frankly, Jack. I think it might be time to move to a bank that has better fraud controls.
Yeah, that sounds like good advice. All right. Well, thank you. This has been a really informative discussion. I want to thank each of you for answering our questions. And thank you, our AARP members, volunteers, and listeners for participating in this discussion today. To learn more about spotting and stopping scams, please join our webinar tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern and again at 7 p.m. Pacific time as we discuss the 2024 fraud landscape and the things you need to know to spot and stop scams. You can register for that program. It's free at learn.aarp.org. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan membership organization. We've been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 65 years. All of the resources referenced today, including a recording of the Q&A event, can be found on our website at aarp.org/conversations starting today. Thank you very much, and this concludes our call.